before we start this, I'm going to give another crypto update. I'm down another 5% on my Shiba Inu coins. What up?
Diamond hands.
Hold forever. All the way from Ethiopia. Our boy.
Hey guys. How we doing?
It's like being back in the States.
Feels good. It's nice to have, running water constantly and, power that doesn't just randomly cut out. It wasn't like, the craziest thing in the world. Like, it's still, I lived in a big city, so there's a lot of, business people walking around everywhere, but it's just right next to slums and all kinds of crazy shit. But, no, it feels good to be back,
How long were you there for?
I was there for 5 months. Yeah.
What was the initial plan to only be there for like half a year-ish? Or did you have an idea when you went?
So it was like, basically it was a 6-month contract with like an opportunity to extend it to a year. So basically it's a logistics company, Dubai-based logistics company. And they kind of have offices all over Africa, Eastern Europe, some parts of Asia right now. But basically... yeah, like they don't have offices in like Western countries because they can't compete with like DHL and, companies like that. But the plan was at least 6 months, maybe a year, and then, see where I go after that. But
so what were you doing exactly?
So there were like two sides to the coin, basically. It was like, so part of the business is moving people, like moving their belongings, relocation. So people who work for embassies, people who work for the UN, or anyone who has enough money to like pay someone to move all their shit.
International U-Haul, baby.
Yeah, pretty much, right? But no, and then the other side is like logistics. So if someone was shipping in some kind of product for like an airport, or like, we shipped in like a flight simulator from Boeing.
Whoa.
So like basically Boeing was, there was a plane that crashed for Ethiopian Airways like a few years back, and Boeing was like, it was our fault. Like we fucked up. So here, take this flight simulator and don't sue us, So it was a donation from Boeing to Ethiopian Airways. And like, we had to handle all the customs clearance and like, getting the trucks, arranging a crane at the airport to do the install, like all that kind of stuff.
Whoa. So did you guys end up getting that contract because you're like maybe one of the biggest logistics companies in Ethiopia, or how did you score that?
Ethiopia is a weird country because pretty much every other country in Africa, you can operate foreign businesses, you can have foreign owned companies, but in Ethiopia it's like a closed economy, so you basically have to deal in the local currency, and that creates trouble for those local logistics companies because they can't pay someone in dollars, and like their local currency is like plummeting right now. So basically we're billed out of like Dubai, and we work with a local company there, this company called Akakas Logistics, who we work with there. Akakas.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I know. I think I had the same response when I heard it too, so don't worry. And so we basically, they have to sign all our checks and shit, so we would have to get approval from Akakas.
It was just funny because I was drinking exactly when you said it.
And so basically it's super complicated. Like the reason we're able to operate there is because we work with them. They handle everything in the local currency, and we can work with the other companies by like invoicing the Dubai office, and like they pay us, like, I don't know, it's some kind of weird loophole kind of shit. I don't know if it's a loophole or not. But basically, they worked with us because we were able to handle all that shit. Like a local company wouldn't be able to work with the port in Eritrea or, you know, wherever the shipments come in. Like we're able to handle, we can work with dollars, like stuff like that. So
obviously America's having like a lot of shipping issues right now. Did you guys notice of that stuff over there too?
Yeah, for sure. So like there's basically, I think just since COVID and since, you know, this whole nonsense that's been going on, there's been a container shortage. Mm-hmm. So even when people ship in like a car or like their household goods, like whatever they're moving, we had some clients who like had to wait months because we just couldn't book a container. Like it just took,
yeah, definitely.
You know, so it affected us there too. And like we're working with people in, you know, Texas or, you know, DC, other American shipping companies, and they're like, hey, what's the holdup here? And we're like, we're still trying to book a container with Maersk. Like we've been waiting for months. Like, yeah, there's nothing we can do.
Do you feel like we're gonna resolve this anytime soon, or?
Yeah, I think it's getting better, but honestly, like, I don't know. It's gonna be a while. Like, obviously, the COVID is still like everywhere. Like, it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. So until like that happens, the supply chain and that everything is going to be affected through this whole thing. I mean, just because like people, you know, who work for all these companies are still out of work in certain places and everything. So,
right.
you know, it's like a domino effect. Like even if it's one small thing, it's going to affect everything eventually down the road, you know?
So what was it like being there, man? Like, what was the food like? What were the people like? What was, what was the airplane ride like? I mean, were you terrified? Obviously you had Boeing blow up.
Well, you know, I luckily I hadn't heard about that before I flew in there.
Dude, that stuff scares me. Like going to sketchy. All those Southeast Asia, or I mean, I know where you were, but I'm just saying all that Russia,
absolutely.
Like that stuff scares me because I don't know. I'm not afraid to fly, but I just feel like those.
No, you just hear stories.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, I mean, I had no idea what to expect, right? Because in the States, like, we don't hear shit about Africa in general. Like, we don't hear shit about Ethiopia. What, like, your idea of Ethiopia, my idea was, like, I don't know, kids with, like, distended bellies.
Dude,
and
tribal.
like, no protein. You know, like, exactly, like, famine and stuff. And that's what it was like in, like, the 80s and 90s. There was, like, a dictatorship, like a communist dictatorship. And, you know, then this other party took over after this communist dictatorship took place, this party called the TPLF. And they're this group of people from this region in northern Ethiopia called Tigray. And basically, they only comprise about 6% of the population, but they controlled everything for like 30 years. They were buddy-buddy with the U.S. You know, basically they did what we said, and you know we
just scratched their back. We just scratched their back and loaded them up,
let them do their thing, and they all got rich. They also did a really good job, like modernizing the country, building big cities, bringing industry, whatever, like you name it, shipping in. I mean, every car there's either a Toyota like Yaris or a Toyota. What's the other one? There's this truck, a Hilux, that's basically like a Tundra. Like, so every car is either one of those two. So Toyota, I don't know what they're doing.
They scored.
Yeah, they scored big. But so they like modernized the country, the TPLF, and they've been in charge, you know, until 2019, since the late 80s, I think.
Wow.
And 2017. And then this new party took over called the Prosperity Party. And essentially, like, the Prosperity Party has been in charge since then, and their leader is, you can kind of compare him to like Trump kind of guy. Like, he's very cult of personality. Like, people will do, like, believe anything he says. They like will, you know, die for him, basically. Like,
yeah,
kind of wild shit. But so there's like kind of this new sense of Ethiopian nationalism. And I don't know, we don't hear much in the news about Ethiopia, but right now there's this massive, there's actually like a civil war going on, basically, that this region called Tigray, where the TPLF like are from, the Tigray people. Basically, like, because when they were in power, they kind of divided and conquered to stay in power. They made everyone put their ethnicities on their ID. So like Tigray, Amhara, Oromo, like all these regions, basically that's the only way they could stay in power. And like basically when they were overthrown, then they were being discriminated against. Like they were very pro Tigray, and then once they were overthrown, the other ethnicities were like, fuck Tigrayans, like, you know, because they were getting super rich off this, and you know, only 6% of the population controlled everything.
Right.
So yeah, now they're fighting back. This is actually like the whole reason I had to leave. They're fighting back, and like they've been carving their way down from Tigray towards the capital city where I lived. And like the fear is that, you know, they're going to take over and it's going to be a whole kind of big thing.
Yeah, it's an uprising.
So I was getting emails from the U.S. Embassy like last Tuesday, like the security situation is rapidly deteriorating. Like U.S. citizens are strongly urged to leave Ethiopia, like blah, blah, blah. Please make travel plans. And I was like, I texted my boss with a screenshot and I was like, hey, is this bad? Should I be worried about this?
Like, were you freaking out?
I was kind of just like, what the fuck? Because you hear things all the time. I mean, I would read the news just while I was at work and just read shit about the war and, you know, oh, it's up in... So Tigray was like, you know, probably a 16-hour car ride from the city. So it's like...
It's not that far.
It's not that far, but it's like, it's way up there. Like,
right.
But supposedly they were within like 160 miles, which, you know, wouldn't take that long. That would only take a few hours by, you know, if they were all in a caravan or something.
That first U.S. Embassy email.
Yeah.
Outlook or Google's like, this is spam. This is bullshit. No way. We're not sending this to the inbox. And then you get 3 or 4 more and you're like, what do you mean?
And then eventually, like, you know, I just Googled, like, I was just like, okay, Ethiopia, like Tigray conflict. I just Googled that. And, the prime minister, it turns out he made a speech that day and announced a state of emergency and was like, Addis Ababa residents, be prepared to defend your city.
Oh,
like,
shit.
You don't want to read that if you're living there. And I was like, hey guys, like what do we do? Like, should we leave or should we? Because everyone there, it's I mean, it's been fucked up by, you know, foreigners kind of coming in and trying to, like, you know, control shit for years, for decades. And so this kind of thing happens every few years where like one party kind of like rebels against the other and tries to overthrow. So they're like used to this, and they're like, well, if they ever reach Addis, which is the capital, like they're not going to do anything. Like they were in charge. Like they just want to take over again, and, you know, everyone goes to work still.
They're not gonna hunt people down. They just want the power, like you're saying.
But everyone was also like, this time feels a little different, like, you know. So it was more the idea of like not knowing what to expect, that people were like, okay, maybe this time is a little different. So
from the time that you got that email to you left, how long, or what's the time frame? Like 2 days? So
I think I got that email, I think it was Monday night. No, Tuesday night.
The spam one?
The spam. I was like, well, fucking U.S. Embassy, you guys freak out. Like, what are you doing?
They're like, please read. You're like,
please read. It's all red, bold. It somehow like makes my phone like light up and like, what is this? No,
what kind of marketing tactic is this?
They're good. They get you. So that was a Tuesday night. I think I was home from work. I was like chilling with my roommates, and I was just like browsing Twitter or something, and then one of my friends texted me with a screenshot of this, and I checked my email. I was like, oh shit, this is probably interesting. And then like within 20 minutes, my boss who lives down in Nairobi, Kenya, which is just south of Ethiopia, he calls me and he's like, hey, like, we're monitoring this. Like, we're going to have a call tomorrow morning at work to figure out what's going to happen. And then right after that, my other colleague in Dubai calls me, and he's like the head honcho, and he's like, yeah, says the same thing, like repeats everything. And then my direct boss in Ethiopia calls me, and he's like, yeah, bro, like this might be real. Like if they're calling you, like they want you to get the fuck out. Like they want us to leave. Like
Jesus Christ.
Damn,
and
dude.
so we have a call like as soon as I wake up. He told me to work from home the rest of the week. Like don't
Give it a week.
Yeah.
It's like,
Dude, it'll calm down.
he's like, yeah, he's just like, feel it out, see how you feel. No, they were like, we booked you a flight for Friday, like just work from home the rest of the week. You're going to fly to Frankfurt, Germany, and then, go to JFK. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I don't really know what's going on. Like none of my other friends who worked for like the UN or whatever were leaving. Like it was just, I had a few friends leave, of course. It was all Americans that I knew left, though.
Yeah, because we're the softest for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, but that's who they capture, dude. They go after Americans because they know.
Dude,
well, here's the other thing.
The
other thing is like, it was kind of sketchy because the TPLF, the rebels who were like coming to like, invade the capital or whatever, they were allied with the US. People think the Americans are helping them out, like revealing the national military's like strategic position. That's how they were able to, but we would never admit it, but a lot of people think that's what's happening. So like the Ethiopian government, I think, doesn't like Americans. And they've been saying like, okay, like Americans, get the fuck out, like get your hands off our country, like blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Rightfully so. I mean, we've
absolutely
done it to a couple countries.
Have you felt that at all with like the new administration, like you were saying from 2017? Was there any like, obviously you haven't been there before, but was there any like kind of, where he
not
looks
really.
or
I mean, sometimes I would be like out at a bar. Like most Ethiopians are like super cool with Americans because there's a lot of diaspora that's moved to the US and like gotten, education and work over there. And then they come back and they want to,
start a business or do
develop
something.
their country. Like
Right.
It's a developing country and they want to, contribute to it. So a lot of Ethiopians are cool with Americans. I don't think I really noticed anything. Maybe every now and again, like if you're in a rural area, it might be different, but like the big city, it's such a unique city because it's where the African Union is. It's the seat of the African Union. So like it's a really important diplomatic hub. Like there's always like the EU is located there too, the UN, like all this stuff. So
you felt pretty safe before this because
I never felt in danger. Like I got pickpocketed before. Like that's the most dangerous shit that could happen.
Did you notice it?
I'll tell you the story. Basically, I was going out to like there was some kind of concert thing that happens like every month that everyone in the city goes to, basically, like every young person. And so me and my friends are getting out of a cab and we're walking down kind of this side street to the restaurant where it's at. And this kid's on my right. Like I'm walking down this cobblestone road. This kid's on my right and he's got like a box full of gum and cigarettes. And he's like, brother, like, do you want some like whatever? And I'm like, no, thanks. Like I give him a thumbs up. I'm like, I'm good. Kind of don't even pay attention. And then this guy comes up from my left, like behind me. And he just like grabs my arm and starts speaking Amharic, which is the language spoken there, like really loudly and aggressively and like shaking my arm. And I'm like, I think the mic cut out for a sec. And he's shaking my arm and grabbing my arm. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, get off me. Like, what are you doing? And the kid that was selling the cigarettes slipped the phone out of my pocket. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then by that point,
dude.
I didn't even notice. And he was gone. And I was like, what the fuck? My phone's gone. He probably passed it to another kid and gone.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
I mean, you were so distracted and obviously you're really nervous and it's not just because, you're you or because you're white or anything like that. It's like anybody in that situation would just...
I was walking with a bunch of other white people too. Like it happened so quick. And then they tried me another time. Every time beyond that, I put my hands in my pockets every time I walked, like, at night like that. And,
and
they try to grab
their hands up.
They try to grab my arm.
The trick.
Yeah. It's literally it. They try to grab my arm and I'm like, I start yelling. I'm like, hey, get the fuck off. And they like run away. Like that's, I don't know. Right. But that's the worst like crime that really happens there. Like it's actually a relatively safe country. Obviously, like right now it's a little different because the war is kind of escalating. I don't know. I've heard about other, stories of other countries. Like South Africa is really, really dangerous. Like violent crime. Everyone has a gun or a knife. Like people just, I mean, my boss is from South Africa, and he was like, yeah, like see this truck over here that is carrying a bunch of steel. Like if this was parked at a light in South Africa, we would have hijacked it. Like
Damn.
you know, like shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even like my boss has seen some crazy shit. I mean, he worked for DHL for 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. So like he's got some wild stories. Even when the whole thing was going on in Afghanistan in Kabul, he had like former colleagues calling him like, hey, like I'm stuck, like can you do anything, like can you get me out of here? He like reached out to the CEO. I don't know what happened, but he was like kind of worried because he like people like Afghan citizens that were just like trapped, like their families were stuck. So yeah, but he told me stories of South Africa, and basically his best friend, one day someone knocked on his best friend's apartment door. He looked through the keyhole. It was a chick. So he opens the door. The girl walks away, and these 3 dudes come into the apartment, sit him down at gunpoint and say like, give us all your fucking money.
Oh my.
He didn't have any money, and they fucking shot him and killed him.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Like crazy
Dude,
shit.
they probably
like
had that girl at gunpoint too. They're like, you do this for us right now.
Dude.
Like, I don't know. Just
that's
like,
what scares me, like going to these countries. Like I know you guys are doing good things, and the UN is doing good things, and
yeah.
you know, there's a lot of good people out there, but I don't know. There's just stuff like that where it can happen in America. There's no doubt about it, but it does kind of freak me out thinking that these guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like no accountability. You know, there's something about those countries that there's like
lawless place.
Exactly.
It's the Wild West.
There's just no one that's going to chase them. No one's going to care because, dude, they'll just turn around and start blasting everyone. Even that's the
thing. Like, he had another story where he saw this woman and 2 kids on the street, and this guy came up and just was like taking the kids from her. And he had a gun on him at that point. He was like, should I do anything? And he was like, I don't know if that's the kid's father. Like, I don't know, who am I to say? And he was like kind of freaking out. And then he talked to his friend who's a cop, and he's like, what are the odds these kids get found? And the guy was like, none. Like, these kids are gone. Like, there's no way. Like, yeah.
That's
crazy
rough.
shit, man.
Yeah, but in all reality, it's like not that that's not a bad scenario or it doesn't happen. I'm not trying to minimize that at all. But like you were saying earlier, most situations you go to a place, even if it is super dangerous, and you realize a lot of the locals are really nice, they're usually trying to help you out. And if you're not like, you know, if you have some street sense, you're not gonna be in super dangerous situations.
I mean, honestly, like every interaction I had with locals was positive. Like most people welcome locals, especially in Ethiopia. I mean, it's so unique compared to other countries in Africa because they were the only country that was never colonized. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So they have this sense of pride where they're like, we're not like you other Africans. Like, we didn't let the whites in. Like, you know, we're more like the white people. Like, blah blah blah. Like, they see themselves as Ethiopian. They don't see themselves as African. And their culture is way closer to Middle Eastern, anyways. So it's like, yeah. I don't know. It's a unique place. So,
did you end up traveling like outside of the capital city?
Yeah. That was probably my favorite thing I got to do. Like some shit that you would just never.
You drove, obviously.
Well, we would either like we would have. So there's kind of an app like Uber there called Ride, and like basically if you got a driver that like was cool and like you trusted, you could just like keep his number and be like, hey, like we'll pay you this, just take us wherever.
Nice.
So yeah, or like sometimes one of my friends rented a van one time, but like yeah, basically like once you leave the city, it's a lot different. Like there's way, you know, it's a lot more what you would think it would be. Like it's you know,
you were saying poverty. It was slums. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was more like not tribal, but people living in like more thatch huts and like type shit, you know, and like farmers, sheep herders, whatever. But we got to go to like some really cool shit. We saw some massive waterfalls from the Nile. Like the Nile runs through Ethiopia. Dude. Saw some baboons running around, hippos, crocodiles, like
nice,
crazy shit. Yeah, and
what was like the food like?
So the most of the cuisine there is like, so they have some Italian stuff from Italy was occupying them in the 30s, and they're like so prideful that they like fought the Italians off, but there's still like a bunch of old fascist Italians still living there.
Oh, what?
Like Mussolini. Like there's this
couple cousins.
Some of your cousins, yeah, exactly. Just kicking it over there. No, but they had good Italian food. That's one thing about fascist Italians. They know how to make, you know, a bolognese. Yeah. Like, I'll tell you what.
They got the recipe from a century ago.
From Mama Mussolini. Yeah. But, no, I mean, there's good Middle Eastern food, good, you know, you name it. Like, it's very close to Yemen. So there's a lot of like Yemeni stuff. But the Ethiopian cuisine, everything they eat is, you know, it's centered around this bread called injera bread. So it's like basically a really like flat, it's a flat disc, like kind of a strange texture. It's a little more sour, and basically you don't use silverware. You just like take a piece of the bread and like scoop something up and just eat it, you know? So you'll have like steak or lamb or lentils, or
I feel like that's very Middle Eastern.
It's almost like pita bread.
It's similar to pita bread. And yeah, so like that's the whole cuisine kind of revolves around that. There's like, you know, the stuff that's in a Philly cheesesteak basically is called Tibs, Tibs. So that was like one of my favorite things. Sometimes they make it spicy as fuck and you have no idea, and then you just have to like take a lap. Like,
did you ever have to poop? Did you ever have to poop in the wild?
Not in the wild.
You ever poop in a hole?
So. I didn't poop in any holes.
Do they have adequate amounts of toilet paper out there?
Yeah. I think that's a...
What's the ply?
A single half ply.
Yo,
yeah, they do the whole... Like the Dwight Schrute, like they separate it in half. Yeah, they do the half ply. No, it was rough sometimes. Quite literally rough. No, but I mean, I think it was fine. The toilet situation was okay, but definitely like the first week I was there, I got food poisoning. I think it was just from like the bacteria in the food, like,
just changing in your gut.
Yeah, like they say like you should eat like the local yogurt to like acclimate and stuff. I didn't think about doing that.
Did you have to go to the doctors and get like certain shots?
Not beforehand. Yeah, I had to get like yellow fever and like typhoid and stuff.
But did they do anything into your stomach or like no?
No. After I got food poisoning, they just gave me like antibiotics and it was fine. But like, yeah, I don't know. The
just
food was
rough beginnings.
Rough beginnings. The first week, it was like total culture shock. Like basically, you're just like, what the fuck did I sign up for? Like, you know, one day your power will just cut out for like 6 hours, and you're just like, Jesus, I can't, like, you can't just walk around outside. I mean, you stick out like a sore thumb. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said about having the perspective of truly being a minority. Like you see what it feels like. Like it's, you know, it's different. Like you definitely like take, you know, you have to look behind your shoulder.
Yeah,
and, like,
I bet it's intimidating. It puts you on a different awareness level.
For a while, you don't want to like walk around outside and just like, dude, it's crazy.
You're a bounty at that point. You're an American white bounty.
Literally.
After 3 months of doing that, though, you're like, you're ready for power outages. Well, you're like, yo, I'm hoping for this. Like, please, I need this
Eventually,
Tuesday
you just
off.
learn. You just carry like a portable like a power bank with you all the time and like shit like that, and carry water bottles and whatever. But yeah, the first few weeks it was a big adjustment, and like you just really like learn to appreciate like shit that we take for granted. Honestly, like paved roads and like, you know, just general infrastructure, stable power, electricity, water, all that shit, internet.
You were living there over the summer, right?
Yeah. And
so is it super hot?
So that's the thing. It's one thing that I had no idea about Ethiopia is that the elevation is like way higher than like Denver. Like it's I think Denver is like a mile high, right? It's like 5,280 feet. I think the capital city in Ethiopia is like 8,000 feet. And at one point, it's like 9,000 towards the top of the city.
Everest, bro.
Could you breathe? I mean, like, were you just feeling like super lightheaded?
The first night that I was there, I flew in. I actually spent 3 weeks in Dubai before that. That was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. That was a lot of fun. But I flew in from there, like a 5-hour flight. I got in at night, and my boss told like the guys that were picking me up, my coworkers, like, get Brett fucked up, like his first night. So they just picked me up from the airport. We drove right to my boss's like apartment, and he just pours a cup, like literally like a half pint glass full of gin. And I'm just like, why? I just got here. Like, give me a few minutes, guys. Yeah. And, one thing, I got a story about the food after this, but like, so they just got me fucked up the first night. We went out to a few bars. There was like a really cool upscale cocktail bar that you would see in like New York City. We went to like a club, which was okay. I mean, that's not really my thing anyways. And then I met my roommate, this Ethiopian girl. I met her at a house party, because we were going to meet up and then, go back to our place after and whatever. We go to a house party, and I'm just like jet lagged and like not even thinking. And, I met all my friends basically through that, everyone who was at that house party basically. But, and then the next day, so me and my roommate get back and like pretty much just crash. And the next day we're like going to walk around my neighborhood. And we're kind of walking around, and we lived in like the very top of the city, like where it's 9,000 feet. And I'm just walking around, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm just like hungover right now, but I need to sit down. Like I thought I was in pretty good shape. And she was like, no, it's not the hangover. Like, this is 9,000 feet, or
oxygen levels are just
whatever
depleted.
It is in meters. But that was a weird adjustment, and it took a few weeks to adjust. Like, even going up a flight of stairs, you're just like, that was kind of wild. But the craziest thing that anyone eats over there is raw meat. It's like the only place I know of where people eat raw meat. But there's just like these meat shops where there's just a dead cow hanging, like fully skinned. And there's just this butcher hanging out there, and you go up to him, and he dices it, covers it in salt and like seasoning, and then you eat the raw meat. And you take a shot of quite literally Ethiopian moonshine. There's this liquor called Areki, and it's like made from corn or something, and nobody knows what the alcohol percentage is. Like,
gnarly. Enough to kill all the bad bacteria.
So you literally, as soon as you eat the raw meat, you take a shot, and it just kills whatever's in there.
Oh my God.
I never tried it.
You never tried it?
I tried all the other shit. That was the one thing, because I had like 3 friends. Even my friend from Ghana was like, dude, do not try this shit. My stomach was fucked for 2 weeks. Like,
dude, I feel like I would have tried it.
Yeah, well, maybe if I was there a little longer. I left so abruptly. Like,
and you already had food poisoning.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Well,
like,
that's the thing.
I would have waited it out. Or if I had a real presence of mind, I would have just blown out my system in like the first month. Like, yo, I'm just going to try everything. Yeah. I know I'm going to get food poisoning, so let's go.
You're bound to get it. You just got to get it out of the way.
But I mean, you come back to America and you're probably now readjusting again. Your body's like,
Well, I did eat some Taco Bell yesterday, and it didn't go down all that well, But
exactly,
bro. It's the same thing.
It tasted okay, It wasn't.
Goes in
right.
Yeah, it's what I wanted.
I bet the meat
what
tastes
I expected.
Good. Yeah.
Probably similar later. Quality meat. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy adjustment. But
do you want to go back?
Maybe to visit. I don't know. I was already thinking like I don't think I was gonna do another 6 months.
Yeah.
But leaving the way I did, I just feel like I have more to see and more I wanted to do, and I still have friends there. So it's like, I don't know.
A little robbed, but not.
A little robbed, but also I was already planning on coming back here anyways, So yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I met a lot of people there, and I have connections there, and all the coolest shit to see, unfortunately, is in Tigray, where the war is happening, and it's all torn up. And like, supposedly like the Ark of the Covenant is there. Like the real
is it like all the jungle stuff is north?
No, not the jungle. I mean, like it's in Tigray, basically there's these old churches that are carved out of stone, like thousands of years old. I mean, they had Christianity before Europe did. Like they like trace their lineage to like King Solomon from the Bible. Like crazy shit. Like, yeah. So there's this massive mountain range called the Simeon Mountains is there. Like there's these old castles in this city called Gondar that I wanted to see, but like you can't go there. Like it's just not safe. Like,
yeah, way too dangerous.
Yeah, like you could have gone 3 years ago, but yeah, this whole thing happened like November 2019, so it's a year now, basically.
Obviously, Africa has the fastest growth economies in the world. So you're not
for sure.
You're not like that far away from modernity.
Exactly.
But it's Africa. That's what freaks me out.
Yeah, it is Africa. Like
it's just different. It's like,
because I have a friend who she tries to get me to, quote unquote, mentally get me there. She's like, we're gonna go see giraffes, we're gonna do whatever. And I'm like, dude, I don't know.
You should go do that. My boss lives in Nairobi, Kenya, which is like, apparently a beautiful city, and he lives kind of on the outskirts, and his house is just like has a garden in front, and there's literally just giraffes walking around sometimes. Like he just posted an Instagram story the other day, and his friend was just like feeding a giraffe.
What? Dude, that is sick.
And like right before I was leaving, they were like, well, the initial plan is maybe you can go down with Joe in Nairobi for a couple weeks. And I was like, yes, please. Like, I want to go down there. Like they have Amazon there. They have everything like that we have in the US. Ethiopia is just way different. Like,
yeah.
But the thing about, working there and living there is like, if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere in the world. So it kind of just gives you a nice confidence. Like, I can do this shit. Like, it's not.
I think that's like kind of
that's a good point.
That initial like fear going into a place that you don't know is like, I don't know if I could handle this or if I'll like basically survive. But then you do it once, and then you hear, all these people that have traveled all these places. You just pick up so much, and then your body gets into a zone of like, I understand how to handle it.
Like, wait, let me ask you this: where did you get your phone? Like, once it got stolen, like, where'd you get another phone?
This might be a stolen phone. I have no idea. I bought it from a guy. My boss had his phone stolen, and he found a guy at like the mall who had phones from Dubai, and he was like, "Yeah, this one's for." The guy spoke perfect English. Like his girlfriend is French or something. And he was like, "Yeah, like this is a used iPhone 10. Like I don't know. It's like." It's from Dubai. Yeah, but it's like
unlocked.
I've noticed a bunch of problems with it. Like the speaker is fucked up. Like when you just play like with no speaker or headphones connected, like it's all rattly and like it just randomly will shut off sometimes. Can't wait to get a new phone, to be honest.
Yeah, they took that from a dead guy, dude.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Maybe I just bought the same phone. I don't know.
Bleached it.
Just bleached it.
Yeah, dude, that is your old phone.
Yeah. No, I mean, when I lost my phone, I was so fucking pissed. We were going out and getting fucked up anyway, so I really didn't care by the end of the night.
You're like, dude, what are you going to do? You're going to like run after him, or you're going to get a phone immediately. It's like, all right, you'll just handle it tomorrow.
And what's funny is like, it's happened to everyone who lives there. Like, so you've had your phone stolen at least one time. We used to joke, there was this British girl like who literally got 6 phones stolen, and at that point it's just like, okay, you're an idiot. Like, Jesus Christ.
Right. Haven't you learned your lesson?
Put your hands in your pockets, or just like look around. I don't know.
All these people are like, hey, can I see your phone? I need to call my friend. She's like, yeah. Then he gives it to gone.
No, you know what's crazy? My boss would just like, we would have to like get a taxi like every now and again, like with this ride app, which is basically the Uber there, but nobody knows how to use a fucking map. So they like call you and they're like, where are you, brother? And like you have to try to explain, and like there's no street names. There's no like, you just have to use landmarks. You have to be like, do you know where Century Mall is? Like, okay, go like down this road. It's right by the restaurant or something. Like you say something like that. But some of the drivers don't speak any English. So usually I would just say, can you follow the map? And if they say no, then I just hang up and get another one. But like my boss was just like, didn't give a fuck. He would just like hand his phone to some random guy on the street and be like, brother, tell him where we are. And like, he just trusted people. My boss was another case. This guy is from South Africa. His name's Jason. And he was just a weird guy. Like he would just like, he would say shit like, we would be walking down the street and some guy would be like selling books, and he's like, the guy selling books is like, you guys want books? I got everything or something. And he'd be like, can't read, brother. And we would just keep walking. The guy would cry, like laughing, like, but he just didn't give a shit. Also, China is doing so much investing in like building all kinds of new skyscrapers and everything there, and like, you know, massive buildings. And there's a big Chinese population. So a lot of like the poor Ethiopian kids who like aren't exposed to white people a lot, they just call every white person China. They're just, you're just walking down the street and they're like, China, China. I'm just like, I'm not Chinese, brother. Like, chill. Yeah, I don't know.
That's really funny.
It was funny to interact with the people. Like, especially it goes a long way to like try to learn some keywords in Amharic, and like, you know, it goes a long way. Like, most people speak a little bit of English, but if you just start by like saying like hi and like, you know, how are you, little things like, it goes a long way where they're more willing to talk to you. Yeah. So
it just learning the basics, you know. Yeah. Exactly. Hey, how are you? Can I get this food? Or where's the bathroom?
Can I get? Do you guys have Tibbs? What kind of ply do you have?
Do you guys have half ply? Do you guys have triple ply? That's what I'm looking for.
What was Dubai like?
Dubai was cool. When I was there, it was like, it was so hot. It was too hot to go outside, really. I mean, like,
see any tigers? Ferraris?
No.
Tigers in Ferraris?
Only in Ferraris, never outside. They would never put the tigers outside.
Driving Ferraris.
This American dollar.
They were No, Dubai was cool. Apparently, like, almost the entire population of Dubai is people who are like not from Dubai. Like, everyone, like,
so rich. Every rich person just
exactly. But the only Emirati people, like the local, like the UAE, like the local people, they're all loaded. So that they're only 10% of the population, but they're all like so rich. They have like 6 houses.
Yeah, they're all like billionaires because of oil.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dubai was really cool. My uncle lives there, and he works for the company I work for. And I stayed with him, and I was just like, the whole time I kind of had the whole house to myself because they were like traveling or something at the time. And I was just like, oh my God, like, this is, how do people live this way? Like, all the time? Like, this is incredible. I was just chilling in a pool, like, after work every day. Like, I don't know. It was kind of a little dreamland. Yeah. But
I was watching this video and it was like, want a free luxury car? Go to Dubai. Because I guess what happens is these people have like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and then they end up breaking down and they don't care. So they just like pull over and it gets dusted and just like wastes away. Yeah. But they don't care. So there's just acres. Like, you can just drive and there's another Lamborghini, and then you go over there and there's a Ferrari, and like, it's just insane because these guys have so much money from America, honestly. And mostly, at least, or enough.
ExxonMobil.
Yeah. Literally. So it's just like, they just don't care. I mean, they're literally driving around with like lions.
You see them two-wheeling those like Land Rovers. They're fully like outside of it and just tilting the thing. They don't care.
I know, right? Yeah. I don't know. Dubai was cool. I didn't have that much time there, and I would have liked to like gone this time of year because you can actually go outside. Like, it's beautiful at this time of year, like 75 or 80 instead of 105, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would have been nice, but came back to the good old US of A. Feels good to be back, though. I don't know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the next spot? Do you have one?
Well, I think I'm going to go back down to North Carolina. I was living down there for like 7 years. Charlotte.
So, look at that.
Me too.
No way.
March.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God.
What?
Let's go.
All right. Well, I'm going down in like a month, probably. I'm going back down.
Dude.
It's a great place. Have you lived there before?
Never been there.
It's a cool city. Like, I don't know. It's just way more. There's way more to do. There's a lot of younger people. It's a big banking city, so there's just randomly like Bank of America is headquartered there.
Nice.
I kind of hate Charlotte, but I love Charlotte at the same time. Like, it's almost like a new city that doesn't have much culture yet. Like, they're just kind of developing. Like, there's Like so many people are transplants, so many people are moving there from other places,
and just figuring out their
they're
personality.
Just figuring out their personality. So like every other day there's a new brewery that pops up, or like fucking everyone in the city has a dog. Like, I mean, I feel like you can kind of picture it. Everything's like brand new, and like it's very
you recommend
nice.
Living closer to Charlotte, or
Definitely
just like
closer. Like live, because if you're close like to the city, you can walk everywhere. Like you can, or take a bike, or take one of those Lime scooters or whatever. There's always an Uber like 2 seconds away from you for $5, like wherever you want to go. There's like a train that goes to wherever you need to go, really. Yeah, I don't know. I love it there. Like,
nice,
I can't wait to go back.
Makes me happy that you know what it's like. I mean,
you're going to enjoy it, I think. And like, you're never going to be bored. I don't know. Like there's always restaurants to check out, or like you can go to a Panthers game or something if you want, like hop on the train, like, yeah. And you can take a little trip up to Asheville, which is a really cool city. Sierra Nevada breweries there, New Belgium brewery. There's a bunch of cool music venues. It's like a super hipster kind of city.
Yeah.
Asheville. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and it's in the Appalachian Mountains, so it's like super cool too.
All right, man. Well, that's cool. How about I'll see you there in a few months?
Hell yeah, brother.
Sweet. We're out.